Hello everybody, it is me Darcy. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to this, the Unnamed Podcast. The podcast where I sit here with this guy for about a time, talking rubbish or whatever else comes to my mind.
Hey, you didn't fuck it up this week.
Yep. And it is always my mind because Kris does nothing. Nothing! Okay. Let's get started the way we often do, with a little bit of channel news. Guys, we're here for a good time, not a long time, especially this week.
You did fuck it up. I also fucked up my job this week.
No. We're here for a good time, not a long time. So let's roll through it.
Let's roll. I
got shit to do.
I can't remember what the fuck came out. I forgot to check it today. I checked it yesterday, but we didn't actually record on Wednesday this week.
Okay, so here's my question for you then. How do you forget something in a day?
Oh, fuck, I have no idea, but it's super fucking easy.
How do you forget anything in a day?
I don't know, but it's super easy. I sort of zone out and then just everything...
You are useless.
Sometimes, but, you know, it is what it is.
This is not a good answer.
It's not. Okay.
I have severe memory issues, but hey, it is what it is. What were you saying?
Monday was Subnautica.
It was indeed, guys. Yeah, we went back to Subnautica. Love me some Subnautica, especially where I'm at the moment, because like things are just falling nicely into place.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, I like to call it like a kind of a spring cleaning type episode, where in reality I didn't achieve much, but I did fix up a lot of things that have just been bugging me.
Yeah.
Like I'd walk around my base and be like, oh, I should move this, because, you know, obviously as I was building my base, which is now a large underwater encampment.
Okay.
What I needed, I built at the beginning.
Yeah.
Obviously.
But
then I'd never moved it, so like a lot of the stuff was like right inside one of my doors that I very rarely use anymore, because obviously now I've got moon pools and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like I've got to go all the way back to the starting of my base to do all of my important stuff, whereas everything else I do is like in the later parts of my base where it's got more room and more space. And so basically what I did was I spent a lot of time moving stuff around and tidying up my storage solutions, hatching eggs and getting little animals swimming around inside my tank, so that I now have a indoor underwater
aquarium
environment inside my base that's in an underwater environment. Pretty much.
Aquarium?
Yes, it is an aquarium, but it's not an aquarium in the natural sense of an aquarium, because normally an aquarium is we take the sea and we put it on land so that people can see it.
Well,
But what I've done is I'm in the sea and I built a base so I'm not in the sea, and then what I've done is introduce the sea back into my base.
Yeah.
So what I've done is in a really, really long way is just like pretty much cut a hole in my base.
Yeah, it's effectively what I was saying.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So I did a lot of kind of housekeeping. Went and got some resources that I actually was running out of. Rearranged all of my storage, moved stuff into more sensible places, so that pretty much my base is now more functional for what I need it to be. Which is something that, you know, as we play video games, especially things like Subnautica, Satisfactory is another one that we have, there comes a point where you have to stop pushing forwards and fix your fuck-ups. And basically that's what happened in this episode of Subnautica. That's not to say that's all I did. I also made Johnson some new arms, because, you know...
Nice.
Every robot deserves to have multiple arms.
Obviously.
And, yeah, then I went and got some quartz, because... I kid you not, the biggest hold-up I have at the moment is quartz, which is like an early game abundant material, but there's just none of it near my base anymore.
Yeah.
So I've got to go to specific places to find it. I don't think it's because it doesn't respawn. I think it's just as my base gets bigger, the respawn area gets pushed further out.
Yeah.
You know how things like that happen. And,
Obviously.
yeah, so there's places I know where it just like spawns like crazy.
Yeah.
And I got Johnson a drill arm, so I can now go and drill the big bits that have just always eluded me. But yeah.
Solid.
Yeah. It was pretty funny, because I was sitting there talking about stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, this is a cheap thing to make, and I'm like, cheap thing. I just grabbed 4 diamonds out of my storage to make this, and I have the nerve to call it cheap.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no, so it was a really fun episode. It was a really good episode. It I did a lot of housekeeping, which will allow me to push forwards in the future. A lot of material gathering, that's always super important. I always try and do that a little bit of it extra at the end and before I start recording every day, because I always know there's going to be something where it's like, I need one of these. And it's like, to go and get that's going to be a 20-minute fucking round trip. And you're sitting there going, And so I always try to make sure I have a little bit of a buffer. But as I've kind of advanced, that little bit of a buffer is like, can just disappear in an instant. Like in the past, I'd sit there and be like, I've got a ruby. Nothing I can build will need more than a ruby. And now it's like, oh yeah, I need like 6 rubies to do this. I'm like, fuck.
So good.
Or as I said, the aforementioned 4 diamonds. I remember the first time I built something with a diamond, it's like, you need a diamond. I was like, fuck, that's going to be rough. And now it's just like, oh, you need 4 diamonds? I'm like, I got that. That's in one of these cupboards. Fucking throwing out the flashlights, the batteries. Oh yeah, here we go. Fucking put the D batteries back in the battery box.
Oh, D batteries.
Well, that's like something that I didn't realize I could do. Like, I've played Subnautica since it came out.
Yeah.
And I never realized you could farm acid batteries. Acid mushrooms, which are used to make the batteries. So I'd always just be like, fuck, I need new batteries. So go and get some mushrooms. And it's like, I could have been growing I could have been growing batteries.
You dumbass. Why wouldn't you look into that?
I don't know, man.
You fucking...
Well, one of the reasons is that obviously when I started playing it, it was still early access.
Yeah, I suppose,
and like,
so it may not have been able to back then.
Well, it was always like, every month something would have changed. So like keeping up to date with whatever's changing is kind of pointless.
True.
You're just kind of like, okay, too much is changing for me. I'll just get in and have some fun, and if something new happens, something new. But like the game's been out for a long time, and so when I go back and play it now, I'm like, oh, actually, you can do this now, and oh wait, they've added this, and oh shit, I didn't even realize that. But like it's the issue with playing games before they're fully released.
True. Yeah.
But even that being said, like even when games are fully released,
they still make changes.
They make good changes, and sometimes those changes can really throw you for a loop.
That's for sure.
Like, I don't know how recent this change in Minecraft is, but obviously with all the Easter stuff I've been doing recently, I've noticed a change in spawn eggs.
Okay.
But I'm fairly sure when I was doing the Christmas stuff, so that's only, 3 months ago, 4 months ago now?
Yeah.
I'm fairly sure they looked different.
Okay.
Like, substantially different. And I was like, wow, that means they've done a new update, which was just fixing something you'll never see unless you're in creative mode.
Well, that's true. Then they added that ghast thing as well.
Gosh.
If you find a ghast, like a dead ghast, little skeleton thing, in the nether, you can bring it out, put it in water, and it then turns into a ghast.
That is something I've not ever
And wait for it, you can ride them.
Ride ghasts? That's all.
Yeah, because they're not as aggressive outside of the nether.
Oh, right.
So they're just a friendly thing that you can put a thing on and ride around.
I've seen people try to get ghasts out of the nether by making giant nether portals, and then just trying to fishing them through, but yeah. But yeah, no, so like, yeah, I've never really gone too deep into the resource side of Subnautica. But yeah, now that I have, it's like, it's crazy. That's crazy.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, no, so it's kind of crazy how much you can do in this game that I've just never done. Because it's never really been a big issue, like back in the old days, I would just be like, you'd have like a tiny little tube base that was like maybe 3 parts long that just had everything you needed in it.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, I don't need to do anything else. I'm just trying to get materials to make the better stuff. And whereas now it's like I'm building this giant sprawling base of farming.
Doing a bit of everything, really.
Yeah, I'm actually exploring and like figuring out how to do stuff and how to deal with the certain things. I'm not gonna lie, they've made a few changes that I'm probably not super happy with.
Okay. Like?
Well, back when I played it in the past, I definitely remember killing a Leviathan, Reaper Leviathan, by just ramming my submarine into him enough times that it killed him. Whereas now it seems to do, like, that does so little damage that that's kind of like, yeah. Like, I had a run-in with one and he, like, absolutely minced me submarine. I was like, oh. Like, I distinctly remember in the old days, like, I got into a massive fight with one of these guys, and he was like, he came at me, and then I just ram him, and then I just ram him again, and then he'd come at me and hit me, and I'd be like, I've taken 8 damage, and I'd just ram him back. Whereas, like, this time it was like, oh shit, he's hit me. It's like, oh shit, I've lost like a third of my health.
Oh no.
Yeah. Crazy.
Sucks.
Like, I always understand this, because, like, I do understand that the makers of the game are like, we don't want you to actually fight these giants. We want you to avoid them. And I'm just like, yeah, but I'm not going to, am I?
No.
Like, I don't know if you guys have been watching me play Subnautica, but I literally have a robot whose entire job it is to go out and punch fish in the face.
True.
And it's like, oh, look, there's a shark swimming towards me. Oh, it's going to bite me? No. And then I punch it and it swims away. And I think that's like kind of what they were like, yeah, so if you attack it, it'll swim away, which will give you time to get away. And it's like, no, what I do is I punch it, it starts swimming away, and I just go, come back here, little bitch, and I start chasing after it. And then it's like, leave me alone. I'm like, not until you're dead. You're going to learn the lesson the hard way. We're going to make
Not really learning then, is it?
Making an example is forced learning for other people.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. But
like,
the statement of, I'll make you...
Oh, they will learn. They'll learn for a very brief amount of time why you don't attack robots under the water.
Okay, fair point.
It'll be the last lesson they ever learn, but they'll learn it.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Anyway, no, but yeah, so, like, I understand that there was, like, a whole thing with the people who made it, were like, no, we were trying to make this non-violent game. I'm like, no. Because there is a game out there, and I can't remember what it's called right now. Not off the top of my head. But it's, like, quite literally just, you're underwater and you're just swimming around, and there is no danger, there's no anything, it's just explore this underwater world, right?
Okay.
And because there's no danger, if you just want to explore an underwater world, that game's great, because you just go and you swim around, like, it might be called Dive or something, as I said, I can't remember. But it could also be called something completely crazy.
Fair.
But yeah, it's quite literally just like an underwater kind of cool world type thing, where they're like, yeah, you just swim around underwater. And it's like, if you wanted that to be Subnautica, you wouldn't put dangerous monsters that are going to eat you out. But the second you put dangerous monsters that are going to try and eat me, I'm going to fight back. Because I'm a hero.
Still on agreeing with that one.
I'm not going to get eaten and not fight back. No.
Well, obviously.
And that's why, like, I don't know, you play Subnautica, what's the very first thing you make? A knife.
True.
Like, everyone's like, oh, you're going to make this... No, you make a knife first. Why? Because then if anything messes with you, you're just like...
Fucking knife.
Look, you may have frickin' crocodile mouth full of teeth, but I have a shank, and I will use it.
Yeah.
That's
Weird
right.
how the shark loses that, but okay.
Hey. As long as we're in a world where there's health points and not, real world physics, you can win.
Yeah,
because
it's fair.
it's as I said, it's programmed to run away when it gets hurt. So you go bang, and you're like, cool.
I've taken 1 damage, where in real life it's like, oh no, I've been bitten. Fuck, oh, I've still been bitten.
Oh no, I'm still bleeding out at all of my organs.
Oh no, oh, some of them are gone.
Floating around under me. Yeah. See, that's kind of the big. That's kind of the problem. You have that with all kind of games where it's like the reality of the situation is always going to be much, much more terrifying than the game version.
Obviously.
Because, like, seriously, like, even the very first, easiest kind of predator you run into in Subnautica is, like, probably close to 2 meters long-ish.
Okay.
Could be longer, I don't really know. No, it's hard to have a
scale. Not exactly small, but yeah.
No, it's long, okay? It's a long kind of serpentine fish that is like a third mouth, and it's got these massive teeth.
Okay.
And it's like, yeah, it's a stalker, right? You guys know what a stalker is. But, like, that's the first, like, proper predator you run into.
Okay.
And it's like, if you were to run into one of those in the real world, you're dead. Because one of those teeth could kill you, let alone a mouthful. And when it bites you, you're not just going to be like, that's smart. You're going to be like, oh, my internal organs.
My internal organs. Wait, did I need that?
It appears I've been snapped.
Oh no.
But yeah, and that's not the flimsy ass Marvel snap where you like can come back 5 years later. That's snap like, oh god, all of the puncher holes.
Yes, indeed.
But yeah, no, so yeah, it's kind of a pretty chill episode of Subnautica. A lot of me kind of thinking, which is always funny. The more I film like solo stuff where I'm building and having to solve problems as I come across them, I realize my thought process is just a lot of being like, yeah, okay, yeah, no, I hate this, and that's kind of exactly how I go. Like I sit there, I just go, yeah, yeah, okay, nah.
That actually sounds right.
Yeah,
it really does.
It's one of those things where like when you are trying to solve problems, you kind of come to the first solution, and To put it back into like a terminology I do when I'm like teaching kids is like the whole point of being creative is the editing process. You get your ideas, you throw them down, and then you come back later and you go, okay, well this
sucks,
works, but I can make it a lot better by refining it.
Obviously.
And so like a lot of the stuff I do, I'm like, yep. No. It's like, the idea is to do this, you do it, and then you go, I can probably do that better.
More likely could.
Or you're halfway through a building process and you're like, no, this isn't really what I wanted it to be. And so then you go back, you gotta do it again. But, yeah. So whenever I'm doing like a build or a solo thing, there's a lot of, yep, okay. And like, they'll just be peppered in. And I was like, as I edit them, I'm like, I say okay a lot, and it's like, but that is like the literal thing because I'm very like single-minded on when I'm doing a job.
Well, yeah.
And it's like that okay is me being like, okay, stop thinking about that now, and you can now look at the bigger picture instead of being like, I am super focused on making a 8x8 square or whatever. It's like, and then like once that 8x8 square is made, I'm like, okay, and it's like, cool. Now I'm no longer that okay is like my own brain just switching from single-minded focus to broad picture again.
Fair enough.
It's a verbal switch.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't switch otherwise.
Yeah, otherwise I'll just be like,
you'll be like the rest of Rockhampton. Maybe that's what they need to do.
Please, I've told you before.
Yeah.
I could have a nice big lobotomy and still not be like the rest of Rockhampton.
Yeah, it would be difficult to get back to that.
But yeah, so that was Subnautica. Good fun. Got a lot done, and I think I'm in a very good position to continue pushing forwards now. Unless I need rubies. If I need rubies, I'm fucked because I got about 2 of those.
I've got about 2. So we're saying about, so there might be 3 or there might be 1.
I distinctly remember collecting 2. I'm not sure if I used any of them after collecting them.
Okay, so more of a situation of there might be 1. Maybe.
But there could also be 2.
Hey, that's a positive.
There's definitely not more than 2. I can tell you that much.
There could also be none.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. Oh well. And then Wednesday, was Super Bunny Man. We finally get back into that one. Horrible at the start. At the very start, it was horrible.
I'm not gonna lie to you. That one was kind of interesting to edit.
Okay.
Purely from a standpoint
2
of
episodes or?
just singular.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't like doing Bunny Man in 2 episodes. It's the only reason we used to do 2 episodes at a time is because by the time we made any real achievements, it had been like 2 hours.
Yeah, fair.
And there's when I edit a Bunny Man, there's always this kind of like process in my mind where I'm like, I could cut out a lot of the failing.
Yes.
But it feels dishonest.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of feels dishonest for us to put up, like, a 20-minute video where we
could
just
literally
do
cut it as we die, and then just cut out 20 deaths. And then just start
like
at the beginning.
20 minutes, but...
Yeah, but either way, there's still, like, a clear section you can cut out.
No, absolutely.
And have it look seamless.
Yeah, absolutely. There is. I do actually cut out some points where we do more fucking around than...
Yeah.
Like, and stuff where we'll start, pause, go do something else, go to the bathroom, whatever, come back, start again, and then we like immediately fall into a hole. I just cut that out because it doesn't. We didn't really play that.
No, fair.
But like, yeah, just like being like, yeah, I'm gonna cut this down from 2 hours of recording to like 45 minutes. So I'll just cut out all of these failures, and it's like,
Yeah.
one, it's dishonest. It's kind of making it seem like we're better than we are, and I don't ever want to give that impression.
No.
Two, and this one's probably more like just so that people understand, why at the end of it you're so like, ah!
Yeah, pretty
Because like if they've only seen you die like 4 times and you're sitting there being like, why the fuck would you do? They're like, wow, you've got a short temper. But it's like, no. See, what you missed was the 600 deaths between when we started this
hour to an hour and a half.
exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So that's always been an issue with Bunnyman.
Yeah.
I try and just I try and leave in as much stuff as possible and just speed it up. Obviously, you don't want to see an hour of us doing stuff, especially when we're not. A lot of the time, generally, about the 1/3 to the like last fifth, there's not a whole lot being said between the two of us.
Yeah.
Because we're just kind of like, okay, yep, jump here, okay, yeah, do this. It's
There's
very
points where we're
technical.
like, okay, we've got to get serious, and then we just shut up.
There are points where we actually focus on the game. So I always try and make sure you get the points where, when something happens and it actually breaks our kind of concentration and we start having a go at each other, that you get all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
because that's why we're doing it. But like for stuff where it's like literally just us sitting there or like I have this real tendency, especially when playing Bunnyman, to literally make bouncing sounds, be like boing, 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 boing.
You know what? Yeah.
Or I'll just be like, or Kris will be sitting there like doing something and he'll just be like, and like you guys don't see it. You guys don't. You're not missing anything from missing Chris's concentration grunts. But
True.
I don't want to take away the actual attempts of us doing stuff. And like again, as I said, it's really important that you guys see how bad we are at the game because it makes everything else make sense. So I'm not going to take away like even though they give nothing to the footage other than the fact of how bad we are. I'm not going to take away the attempts where, like, literally on the first jump we fall down a hole because it's like that's part of it. That's part of the feeling, the everything about it. So, yeah. But what was actually funny about this Bunnyman was I had an idea of what I wanted to like name it and have its naming convention before we started.
Yeah.
Or about halfway through, I was like, yeah, this is pretty much what I'll name it, and that's what I went with. But but what happens towards the end of it also gave me like a whole other name that is far more what happened at the end of it.
Don't really want to give that away. I want them to watch this.
I do want you to watch it, so I'm not going to give away what happened. But I will say that probably for the next Bunnyman, I will use that name, the second name, because it's likely we'll use the same technique.
Yes.
And
we finished a couple of maps.
We did.
I will say that. I will give that away.
We do have to go back now and pretty much get a couple more coins, which means we've got to go back to past missions.
Yeah.
And there's a few past missions we can go back to that will quite literally solve most of our problems.
Yeah. It's
But yeah.
There was a point where we were just laughing hysterically just because of the technique we found out.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Absolutely. And that's kind of the whole thing with Bunnyman is it is by no means a competent platformer. And what I mean by that is it's no Mario, it's no, think back to all of the old platform games we used to play when platformers were the main genre.
Well, I honestly think this is meant to be a rage game.
Oh, absolutely. It's a rage platformer, so it's like it's not supposed to have pinpoint accuracy controls and all that kind of stuff. But it does mean that you can break the physics in pretty funny ways. And I'm pretty sure I did it about twice in this game where I literally broke the game by breaking the physics.
Yeah.
And the game just went, stop. Okay, I think I figured out what's happened here.
Yeah. Okay, and restart.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, it's not me having a jab at the game when I say it's not a professional platformer. I think it's 100% what they meant with it. It just means that you can do unlike a game like Mario, where if you do the same thing every time, it's going to give the exact same result. In this one, you can do the exact same thing every time, and every time get a slightly different result. Because nah, actually, what happened this time? I don't know how many times in Bunny Man. I've honestly lost count of how many times you line up the jump perfectly, press the button, and then it's it throws you in the air too far or not enough, and you're like, what the fuck happened?
Or it's as if you're your feet just slipped on the ground and
absolutely
you just fall forward instead of actually jumping.
Now, there is, I'm not gonna lie though, there is something that happened in the video, pretty early on, where I jumped out of the water, went to jump on the ground, and it literally looked like my feet slipped out from under me. And honestly, if that was part of the gameplay, if the game was no, your feet were wet, so when you did that jump, you slipped.
That would be fantastic.
I would be like, wow, these guys really thought this through. But I'm pretty sure it was, again, just the goofy kind of physics of the world. But if that was it's no, you're wet, so you're slippery, that would be amazing. I would be like, wow, sirs, I doff my hat to you.
Oh, 100%, yes.
But yeah. Yeah, so that was
it was Bunny Man?
That was Bunny Man. That was Wednesday.
Yeah.
Obviously on Friday we got the podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, you can see that right now if you're watching it.
Yeah.
And then Saturday we've got Minecraft.
Yeah.
So this is a build Minecraft. I literally had to finish building the Easter challenge. So that's all done now. It is all finished. Everything's done. It's actually ready to be filmed. I've had to make some changes to how I want it run because I think it's going to be better that way. Yeah, but basically, it's an Easter egg hunt. That's the plan. I've built a whole thing where you can go and hunt Easter eggs, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. It looks pretty nice, I'm not gonna lie. But I was always running into a big problem, which is that I reckon even if I'd given myself a couple of months, I would still know where pretty much everything is.
Yeah.
I can't forget that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a design-based person. I went to university, I studied architecture. I'm not going to forget where I've painstakingly mapped things out to and be like, oh, I need to do this here and this, and then be like, oh yeah, I need to do this. So my plan was I was going to be like, oh, maybe if I give myself enough time, I'll forget where everything is. And I went, that's not going to work. Yeah. And so I spent the last about week and a half trying to come up with a solution as to how to solve the problem of me just remembering where everything is. Yeah. And that's one problem. And I was like, maybe if I do it like this, I can. And I went, that's never going to work. And in the end, what I actually came to the solution was, I'm not going to forget them. I'm also not going to forget what's hidden where.
Yeah.
I will still be able to remember what's inside there. And I went, the only way for me not to know what's inside certain things is to just not put them there. And so I've come up with the solution is I went back and pretty much counted all of the different types of eggs I'd hidden, because, and you'll see more of this as we actually do the challenge, but there's a whole point system and finding eggs. Now all I have to do is kind of come up with a time limit. I'm thinking 15 minutes each.
Okay.
But I have to kind of go back in and actually walk around and see if 15 minutes is too much.
Okay.
I don't want it to be and remembering that I already know where all of the hiding spots are.
Yeah.
I'll probably even give myself even less time.
Fair, yeah.
But the point is, I'm trying to figure out if walking around 15 minutes is too much, not enough, that kind of thing. But the only way for me to have any real challenge is for Kris to go in and hide stuff. So I went back in after hiding all of the stuff and pretty much counted out how many of each type of egg was hidden, and then grabbed a bunch of them and just put them in a chest so that after Kris has his attempt where he won't know where anything is, he can then go back through, hide his eggs. So even though I know where everything is, I won't know what's inside there.
Yeah, fair.
And so basically, if I make sure that the time is right, I won't just be able to be like, oh well, I need to go here and grab this, or I need to go here and grab this. But as I said, there's still a little bit of working out to do before we do the actual Easter challenge, but it is now all built. It looks pretty smick, I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty happy with it overall. And, yeah.
No, that's good.
But yeah, so there's still a little bit of problem solving I have to do. I probably have about 2 days to do that problem solving, if I'm being honest.
Yep.
Because this needs we're a week out from Christmas, and this Christmas. That's the one. We're a week out from Easter, and this has to be filmed and edited by then. And it's a hard deadline for me. It's not like I can be like, I can work up on this until the last second. No, this all has to be done before Good Friday, because I'm away on Good Friday.
Yes, you are.
But in terms of like everything else, like so, for those of you wondering, the podcast will be on hold. I think there's one more, but then it'll be on hold for about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So basically what's happening is I've got to go away for 2 weeks. I don't have to go away for the first week, but I do for the second week. But I'm away for 2 weeks, which means I can only have what I have done.
Yeah.
So, I kind of sat there at the start of this week and went, I have 11 days to try and get as much done as possible.
Yep.
And yeah, so there will be some sacrifices coming up. Fortunately, I'm pretty much finished up to next week once we get this Minecraft filmed.
Yeah.
So the next 2 weeks are pretty much locked in. It's just the first week I'm away and the second week I'm away. Fortunately, we've done most of the filming for all of the me and Kris things. There's just probably 2 videos I still need to record.
Yeah.
So I have a busy next couple of days, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah.
And but on Sunday, when I first went, oh shit, I've got this much time to do this much work, and I started thinking about it and being like, fuck, I was very worried. Whereas now that I have done, in 3 days really, I've done over a week and a half worth of stuff. I'm like, oh, I should be able to at least get to the point where I get back with Jordan, which is a good idea. Which, as I said, I'm away for about 2 weeks, but there is a 3-day respite in between those.
Yes.
But if I really need to get stuff done, I've got three days to get it done.
That's still rough.
It's rough. It is rough. But that's that. So yeah, I think probably the biggest thing that'll be hit is we'll probably miss a Minecraft, because just to film and edit a Minecraft or multiple Minecrafts generally takes a bit of time.
Yeah.
That's just the breaks. But if you are saddened by that, go back and watch all of the Minecrafts.
Yeah.
There is a lot of them out. Because we probably started doing Minecraft about this time last year, right?
Something like that, yeah.
So there's a heap of Minecraft episodes. They've been coming out once a week, so you won't miss 1 week.
I don't think we did once a week initially.
Maybe not.
Yeah, but we did. It was pretty quick to start.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of Minecraft videos on the channel, so
Yep.
go check all of the old ones. Obviously the quality on the old ones is going to be a little bit, less than the newer ones. But fortunately, because we started Minecraft so late,
They're not horrible.
even the oldest ones aren't as bad as if you go back to like the first video on the channel. The first
Funny, man.
I don't think Bunnyman is the first.
No, it's not the first, but I was.
I think
considering
the
that.
first one is actually a Fall Guys.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Because but you started before I came into it.
But yeah, and you're like, oh god, I always think back to those days and look at those old videos and just remember how painful it was to do the edits on those. If we were still in the old days, back before I actually became competent at editing, Jesus, 11 days to make 3 weeks worth of videos would never have been enough. That'd be like enough to make 2 days worth of videos.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Back in the slow days when every 15 minutes I had to fix everything up. God.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh,
fucking sync drift, man. That's crazy stuff.
Then we got more confident with the recording itself.
Oh yeah, that was also good. Like being out. I think one of the funniest things that's happened since we started is probably just going from being like, okay, we've been together for 4 hours filming, and we've filmed half a video. Excellent. Whereas now it's like, okay, we've been talking for. What was the game we were playing? We're playing a Satisfactory. I don't know if it's come out yet. I think it has, but like quite literally, it's just something I say to you. I'm like, wait, have you done this? And you go, it actually might be the one that hasn't come out yet.
Possibly.
But I say to you, I ask you a question about something, and you go, yeah. And I go, oh. It's just that we're 5 minutes into the video and we're very on point.
Yeah.
Because like usually for us, the first like 10 minutes of the video is just
screwing around.
fucking around. It's like me jumping from thing to thing for no goddamn reason.
I do the same thing at the end.
Exactly. But yeah, no, it's just, yeah. So, a lot has changed since we started, but yeah.
Yeah, but I think that one actually made a difference because there was a very real task that I needed to do, and I knew exactly what needed to be done, so I was like, okay, get it done. Whereas usually it's like, what am I going to do today?
Oh yeah, a lot of the time, and that happens to me a lot in Minecraft.
Yeah.
Especially like as I said about Minecraft, guys. There's going to be like a little transition. We're not giving up on our task of defeating the Ender Dragon.
Yes.
But we're kind of at a point now where what's holding us up from finishing a lot of stuff is just finding materials.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure they'll make very good videos, if I'm being honest. Kris in a hole, me in a hole. I don't know.
Yeah, it tends to be a thing.
Yeah. But like
me getting lost and trying to find my way out, on the other hand.
Yeah. So like in the past, we'd either be building or I'd be off exploring, and so like if Kris was really just kind of doing nothing interesting, it would just cut to me and I'd be out there running around. But the unfortunate side effect is that we can't really do that and keep progressing. We have to actually spend some time looking for materials. Yeah. And so to kind of be able to do that and still have kind of like interesting episodes my plan is to start doing some more challenges and stuff like that. So I have a challenge in mind that we'll probably do in the coming months. That'll start with building and then obviously have the actual challenge between me and Kris.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's something else. That's something that I kind of want to do a lot more in Minecraft, is just have these like little challenges and stuff like that where you jump in, you get to see us set up a challenge and then actually partake in it. And that way, every week is not just going to be me and Kris walking around looking for diamonds.
Yeah.
Or,
there will be me losing
farming
diamonds, though.
Yeah.
That's never not going to happen.
Or, me and him just wandering around the nether for an hour or two. Just being like, oh shit, we can't find what we're looking for, or whatever. So yeah, there is going to be a little bit of a shift in Minecraft, so that you will still get those episodes, but you'll also get some episodes where we're more task orientated, and that way it's a little bit less the same,
pretty much
week in and week out. But yeah, that's kind of where we're going with Minecraft. As I said, not Halo. Halo has been filmed. We have done some filming on Halo, so
yes,
look forward to that.
I finally
Kris
figured out the issue I had. Actually, no, I didn't.
You got a new Xbox.
It just worked. Yeah, the old one wouldn't work for some reason, but the new Xbox was fine.
I figured out my problem. If I just get a brand new system, everything's no problem.
That's exactly what happened. God, it was annoying.
But yeah, so some more Halo's been filmed. Obviously, there's more Satisfactory to come. I have finished Spyro. That is official. It is all wrapped up, ready to be released. So
yeah,
I haven't really considered what I'm going to use as Spyro now. For those of you wondering what I mean by that, basically Spyro was a really easy one for me to be like, oh shit, I haven't filmed anything and I need something and I've only got 2 days to get it done. So I would just do a Spyro because it's really easy to do. It pretty much gives you the task that you've got to do and says get it done. But now that that's over, I got to find something to replace it. Kris has suggested Crash Bandicoot, but I wouldn't mind that. It's just that Crash Bandicoot, like the whole reason I did Spyro was that it's a nostalgia game for me.
Yeah.
Whereas I never played Crash Bandicoot, so it would be me learning to play the game. Unlike the Spyro, where I'm like, there's something over here, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
This is a game I have no concept of it in. But
I'm gonna recommend not trying to 100% though.
Yeah, probably for the best.
Yeah, especially in the first game when they decided to add one of the maps that they got rid of.
Yeah.
Because it was too difficult originally, they got rid of the map, and when they remade it, they're like, "Hey, we'll put it back in."
Yeah, why not? Well, I think that's kind of fair because like the people who originally played it are now adults and could probably do it.
Oh, it's still super difficult.
Well, I think I'm not gonna lie about that. I think some of the problem there is the meddling they did behind the scenes.
Oh yeah.
Because that is something that they've pretty much come out and said, yeah, we fucked this up.
Yeah.
Basically, you guys should all know this by now, but the jump animations. Each of the 3 games had different jump animations, and they kind of just chose one of them and went, that'll do. But that has actually made the other 2 games a lot more difficult because pinpoint platforming.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but yes. Other than that, guys, the shorts will keep coming out. Even while I'm away, I will still be making sure the shorts are coming out. Unless I get caught up in a place that has incredibly bad coverage.
Yeah, pretty standard.
And yeah, other than that, just subscriber count. I believe last time I checked, it was at 271.
Yes, that is where I last checked it as well.
There we go, and that was quite literally minutes ago.
Beginning of the video.
So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed. End of April, we'd like to be at 300.
That'd be nice.
It'd be very nice, but it is what it is, and we'll just keep doing what we do, and hopefully, it keeps entertaining people, and they keep watching and subscribing. But I guess that kind of wraps up all the channel related stuff.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You got a topic today?
Not really, no.
No.
I'm just gonna kind of just wing it.
Fair enough.
And say, Kris.
Yes.
I finally finished Attack on Titan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I still haven't done that.
So, guys, Attack on Titan, big anime, lots of people were like, it's one of the best animes ever.
No.
And I think the truth is, in the first season, it was incredibly good.
Oh, yes.
And then it just kind of got progressively more and more average as it went on. Yeah. And then we got to the final season, which, I'm not going to lie, half of it is absolute tat. Like, I did not enjoy about half of it, but then another half of it, I was like, wow, this is kind of what you would want from this kind of anime.
Yeah, fair enough.
And, yeah. So I finally finished it, a long time in the making. I watched it as it was airing for the first season, and then I think I got to like episode 3 of season 2.
Yeah.
And went,
So I didn't watch the first season when it was airing, I watched it years later.
Yeah, okay.
Before the second season came out still.
Yeah.
And then I was watching season 2 as it was airing.
Yeah. No, I was watching the first season when it was airing. I was watching season 2 as it was airing, and about episode 3 of season 2, I went, quality's dropping. Yeah. And I went, okay, so I'm not going to watch it as it's airing, but once it's all out, I'll watch it. And I just never did, because, and I honestly, I kind of feel like I dodged a bullet there. I think a lot of people got caught up in, like, it's the best anime ever. But I always have a problem with TV shows and animes and stuff like that when characters are supposed to be incredibly intelligent, but then they do things that are incredibly stupid.
Yeah.
And a lot of Attack on Titan, especially towards the end of season 1 and the start of season 2, you're being told like, oh, these characters are really smart, and then they do something stupid, or a character has this kind of goal, and then they do something that just doesn't align with it, and you end up being like, hang on, why did this happen? And for Attack on Titan, it I guess it's one of those things where like one of the amazing things about it was just the fact that like they spent quite a bit of time connecting you with characters, then just killed them. They're like, hey, remember this character you spent the last 4 episodes with and grown to enjoy? Gone. And you're like, wow. And that was like one of the awesome things about it. It's like, you literally felt like that, unlike a lot of shows where they kind of give you a character, and the second that character starts getting built up, you're like, oh, well, this character's obviously going to make it to the end. They'd build up a character and then just boop. And, other than maybe 3 times in the series as a whole, there was never a point where it was like, oh, we're just going to undo this.
Makes sense.
But yeah, I don't know. There were points in it where it's like absolutely incredible.
There's some really good points to it, but there's a lot.
Pretty much a lot of Levi's fighting scenes are absolutely outstanding. They're so well animated. They feel so flowing. But then they kind of counter that by giving you these really boring, nothing scenes where people are talking about stuff that you really don't care about. And like, there's a difference between a point where characters are standing there discussing something and it's the best way to put information across, versus when characters are just standing there talking for no reason.
Yeah.
And like a lot of it felt like that. Like there was a lot of points where we're like, oh, Aaron's in jail because of this, and now people are having a conversation about what they're going to do with him, and it's like, we don't need a third of an episode dedicated to this. You could literally do what a lot of people do, which is
show that they're having
that discussion and then cut to the decision. Not have like every piece of the argument made. And I understand that some people are like, oh no, but we want to see the politics and all this kind of stuff. But it's like, not really. It was because it was never really about the politics, and 2, a lot of the arguments were pretty stupid. Like characters were making arguments about this is why we have to do this, and you're like, wait, but where's the logic there? And they're like, for this reason, and you're like, no, but there's no logic there. There's no connection there. And I said this to Kris a lot of things. I really hate it when an anime tells me a character or a TV show says this character's smart, and then you watch me go, well, they're not smart. Why are they doing this? That's a very stupid thing to be doing.
Yeah.
And like, there's always this thing of like, oh, but you as the viewer have more information than them as the watcher, them as the person in it. Not the watcher, you're the watcher.
Yeah.
But the person in it doesn't have all the information, so they're making the best decision based on what they have. And you go, but it's not the best decision based on what they have. And that always irks me. So like, whenever I watch something, One Piece, Fairy Tail, those are really good examples, no character in there is actually supposed to be that smart.
No.
Which is wonderful, because it means that you do get... You don't have to sit there and be like, hang on, wait, if this character is supposed to be this smart, why are they doing this stupid thing? Which is something
One Piece has like 1 or 2.
It does.
Like, Robin's supposed to be really smart, but she's not the captain.
Well, yes, but again, Robin is smart in the terms of, like, she's a book smart person.
Yeah.
But she's not out there being like, hey, I'm the super brilliant planning and I'm making all of these brilliant plans and stuff. Because that's just not how they work. Like, they don't make plans. And that's fine. Like, I can be told a character's smart, and you can have them being like, yes, I'm the smart character and I read books. And I'm like, yeah, okay, you're the smart character, you're reading books.
Yeah.
But whenever you say like, oh, this character is a genius, and then you're like, and now they're going to make a genius plan, and then you're looking at the plan going, the information they had, what? Why are they doing this? And it's like, because it's a elite 4D movie. You're like, no, it's not. It's stupid.
Yeah.
And that happened a lot in Attack on Titan, especially, as I said, at the end of season 1, and a lot of the time, like, season 2 is just pretty much littered with it, and a bit of season 3 as well, where you're just kind of like, wait, hang on, what? And then there's also, like, a lot of times where they do something and you're like, that's not how things... No.
Mm.
Yeah. And it's like, no, but you just gotta, I get just, going with the story and being not, like, overly thinking things through, but you're like, wait, but, as I said, with Attack on Titan, there's a lot of points where I'm just like, wait, but, huh? And you're like, what? And it's like, aha, but you see, this is, and it's like, no, because the rule you put in place here means that this shouldn't work, and that kind of what always hurts me, is whenever something sets up a rule and then breaks it. And it's like, you can have a show that breaks all of the rules of the world we live in. Heck.
Yeah.
Think of any fantasy show. But the second it starts breaking its own rules, like it goes, this is a rule, and then breaks it. You go, hang on, wait, what?
It's ridiculous when it does.
And you go, no, because you stated this was the rule, you can't now break it and be like, oh, well, it only applies sometimes. No.
It either applies all of the time, or it doesn't at all.
Exactly. And so, I just feel there's a lot of stuff in Attack on Titan that kind of like, they go like, haha, and then they hand wave over stuff that they've kind of set up. But as I said, one of my biggest irks with anything is when I'm told a character is smart and then they proceed to go and show me that they're not smart.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, it's a classic blunder that everyone makes, because you can only write a character who is as smart as you. If you try and write someone who's smarter than you, you're going to run into problems, because they're smarter than you. They would obviously be able to come to different answers to you. But I felt with a lot of Attack on Titan, especially with Armin and Erwin, that there was a lot of stuff that they were doing where it's like, it's the only option. You're like, well, hang on, I'm just, based on everything you just said, I've come up with 3 different options to what you've said, and they probably would work better.
More than likely.
Yeah. And, but as I said, but as I said, the final season, that coming back and, like, the ending of it's pretty good. The other half of it's kind of stupid. You're kind of like, what the fuck? Like, there's a whole kind of payoff with the main character, who's supposedly gone evil. And, like, as it goes on, you kind of get more information as to why he's doing what he's doing, the general stuff.
Yeah.
But then, like, when you actually think about it, you go, hang on, but why? Huh? And you kind of left in there going, like, oh, hang on, if this was his goal, everything he did
works against it.
Well, not works against it, not directly, but like, it's like, oh shit, like, your goal could have fucking gone off the rails incredibly quickly, and it would be your own fault.
True.
And it's like, yeah, that's kind of the thing. Yeah. And then there's like, there's also parts where it's like they're doing stuff and you go, okay, now we're in this kind of mystic nonsense hand waving area.
Well, yeah, because I think I stopped watching when it was like end of one season, Aaron's going one way, and it's like, yeah, cool, start of season 2, the next season, whichever one it was. It's like, oh, hang on. What's with the sudden flip? Because it doesn't get explained until later.
Yeah.
That kind of annoyed me, because I'm like, why have
it is a bit jarring. And
yeah.
And there's also things like, they're doing this stuff and you're kind of like, what? And it's like, oh, we're doing it this way because it's the only way. And you're like, no, what you're doing now is acting. You're not even like going like, oh, I've got to act this way to achieve this goal. You're being like, I'm going to go and do this, and by doing this thing that is completely opposite to what I want to achieve, somehow that's going to link back. And like, I think that's the biggest issue with it as you got further into it. It was like, I'm going to do this thing that's completely opposite to my goal,
Yeah.
And then by some magic hand waving, that's going to come back and solve my problem. It's like, no, you've moved away from what you wanted to do. That's now in the opposite direction. You can't go back. You've already done this action. You can't go. And it's like, no, but by magic hand. And I'm like, that's the problem, I think, with a lot of
magic hand waving.
The magic hand waving. And it's like, when you're sitting there, you go, hey, what? And yeah, there's a few points in it in the end part where it goes to kind of mysticky.
Okay.
Because as you get into the last season, as you get into kind of the point where you start to see the outside world.
Yeah.
And you're looking at it and you're like, oh, okay, well, hang on, I can actually sort of figure out the technology of the era, and you're like, oh, okay, all right, so, and then you're looking at it and you're like, okay, so this makes sense and this makes sense and blah blah, but then there's still like this weird magical element that like even how they make Titans is like, oh, okay, it makes sense because it's this and this, and it's like, and Titans come from this and no one really knows how it happened, but then it's like kind of like at the same time that's how Titans are made. Oh, but also there's this magical, mystical, hand wavy stuff that can also allow Titans, and it's like, wait, what the fuck? And so it's like everything seems to be making sense until they kind of get to this point where you're just like, huh?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's all magical, mystical sides, and you're like, oh, fuck me.
Yeah.
Just like, you know.
It's tone it back.
Yeah. And there's also other things like, you know, like as it gets further on, it's like, oh, they have weapons, they can, like, they have guns that can kill Titans, like just cannons and artillery pieces and stuff like that. And you're like looking at it and you're going, hang on, but that doesn't make sense. Because, okay, yeah, sure, a 150mm cannon is better than a fucking old school black powder ball cannon that they have at the walls. But the problem that they have is that there's still only a spot on the neck that you have to destroy to kill a Titan. Like, I don't care how big your gun is or how powerful your shell is. If you don't destroy that spot, you don't kill the Titan.
It's as simple as it is.
Oh yeah, but that's the anti-Titan. That's how we. And it's like, and there's a whole kind of like argument as it goes further on that's kind of like explaining away why all of everything was happening. And it's like the age of the Titans is coming to an end because of all this technology, and then the end of that, you're kind of sitting there being like, well, no, it wasn't at all. No. Titans were still way too powerful. Nothing you had could actually stop them.
No.
That's like, oh, no, but they were building all these. And it's like, no.
I've got to finish it myself to see exactly what you're talking about, but
yeah, pretty much. There's like, it's not a spoiler or anything.
No.
But there's a whole big thing where it's like, with the new age of technology coming along, Titans aren't going to be the weapons they once were on the battlefield. Because obviously, you know, the attack Titan and the armor Titan, all that, they're weapons pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, they're not going to be the weapons they used to be because of all these new weapons that we're getting. Like the artillery pieces and these, and big ships. And you're like, well, hang on, though. At one point, we see Titans get dropped onto a defense, and they go ham
and destroy the place.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, yeah, and so it's you're sitting there going like, what the actual fuck? And you know, you've got all of these other things happening, and again, character motivations just don't make sense. Like, there's a whole big thing with the Beast Titan guy, and you know, he's supposed to be like super dedicated to the people he works for. Yeah. But then he like hasn't told them something that he knows that is a reason he can do something, which like, I don't know if you ever saw him turn people into Titans.
I don't think so.
Or his control over Titans. I think that's season 2.
I may have seen I may have seen the control, but I don't think I noticed creating.
But yeah, so he can do that, and they're like, oh, why can he do that? And it's like, oh, because he has royal blood. You find that out pretty, like, you find that out when it's the second you find out about him, and you go, huh, okay. But then, like, at another point, they're like, why can he do what he can do? And it's like, these are the people he works for, who's supposedly dedicated to, and you're like, well, he knows that about himself. He was told that by his parents.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't he have just told them that's why he can do that, and then they can use that information for however they want?
It would make more sense, but no, who knows?
It's because the character motivations aren't well thought through.
No.
You can't really have characters who are like, I'm super dedicated to this, but I'm gonna keep secrets that would be super useful to them.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, hang on, what?
It's a bit much.
And then and then I guess there's an argument to be made that's like, oh no, but he's not super dedicated to them. But it's like, well then, but his plan is to help them. His plan only helps them, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there's a few things where I'm just kind of like, you're making a statement and then you're pretty much using the footage and the video to counter that statement almost immediately. As I said, all this kind of thing like, oh, they've got weapons that can kill Titans, and then you literally see Titans just come and massacre people. You're like, what are these weapons that can apparently kill Titans?
Unless they're using a particular type of material that, as it passes through its body, it puts some sort of poison into it that kills the host.
I don't know, but as I said,
Maybe.
like, and like, I don't know. It's another fucking stupid thing. Is like, the ODM gear.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, the ODM gear. That means that they're from the island where the Titans are and everything like that. And it's like, cool, but if this gear is so good, why wouldn't you guys, you technologically superior place, why wouldn't you make it?
Oh yeah.
And it's like, oh no, they don't. And it's like, cool. And then you like look at it and you're like, yeah, like, okay.
It's like when they all get to the mainland, they were using the gear around the city, and you could see how superior them moving around in certain situations.
Trust me, a machine gun's always going to win, and it's proven. But like at the same time, it's like as they're this small group of people manage to like do so much damage. Yeah. And it's like, okay. And then you look at the ODM gear and the fact that it's like the best gear for killing Titans, and you're like, okay, so why did none of these technologically superior places develop this stuff? Or, yeah. Of course, then you also run into the issue with the ODM gear, which is like quite literally people just let themselves get eaten while wearing it.
True.
Which I've always had an issue with. Like, I don't know if it's like just Attack on Titan just irks me about this, because it's like people always go deer in the headlights.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like we've studied this, and people tend to have a fight or flight mechanism.
Yeah.
And it's like but in this one they just kind of stand there, and it's like, and I'm like, seriously, all you'd have to do is actually start running. Like 90% of the time when people are getting eaten by Titans, it's like you had all the time in the world to start running. You just chose to sit there. And that's always
they're the only ones that they technically would have a major issue with. The ones that have control over the Titan completely.
Mm.
The ones that they're generally running into, especially in season 1 for the most part, don't have any control over themselves. They're literally just a wild animal looking for food.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all it is.
And that's kind of always irked me, especially about the first season Trosk battle, where it's like, I get it, like the cadets are like, oh no, this is the first time I've seen Titans and all of this kind of stuff. But there's just so many times when like a cadet is sitting there on the ground, a Titan's moving towards them, and then they just sit there staring at it. It's like, you've got your gear.
Yeah.
Run away. And it's like, that's what irks me, because it's like the human reaction is like that flight or fight kind of thing.
Yeah.
And every single time they go deer in the headlight and just sit there. And it's like, it's not actually how humans generally react to things.
No, it's very rare for that.
Like, yes, that's true probably about battle and like fighting.
Yeah.
But like, these people are literally equipped to get away and regroup and stuff like that.
Get away in an instant.
Yeah. But again, as I said, it all kind of comes down to this whole kind of thing of being like, I don't know, maybe people who never play war games shouldn't do military strategies. thought that comes to mind, because even like in that first season where stuff is like bombastic and cool, there are points where I'm sitting there being like, the recruits have only just graduated.
Yeah.
You've got all of these experienced soldiers, but you're sending out a group of recruits without an experienced soldier leader.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's pretty stupid.
well, no, we've got to keep all of our experienced squads together. It's like, no, because that's, one, yes, it does make those experienced squads more useful and more impactful.
Yes.
But at the same time, if each squad had an experienced leader, then
they could coordinate a lot better.
You would have coordination, not just like 4 or 5 kids out there being like, "Oh God, no, a Titan."
Yeah, no.
But yeah,
I know. Come eat me.
I also run into the issue of like, like the whole thing is being like, "Oh, they've been trained to kill Titans." It's like, cool, okay. And then like people who have seen Titans before just freezing in the face of Titans. I was like,
oh yeah,
like I get the ones who've never seen them before being like, oh my God, this is actually Titan. But for like the ones who actually survived, like Armin and all of that, being like, oh my God, it's a Titan. It's like, dude, you've already been through this.
Yeah.
You when you were younger, you went through this. You know this.
Yeah.
This isn't your first time seeing a Titan. You shouldn't be, you shouldn't be like, oh my God, this is a Titan. You should be more like, oh my God, not this again. But yeah, I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff where it's like, 90% of the human reactions seem to be the same, whereas I don't think that would actually be the situation.
More than likely not.
I actually think like 9 times out of 10, like when people are put in situations where they're going to lose, their actual reaction is to fight back all the harder, even though it is in vain.
Yeah.
And there's just so many points where you just see them not even try. There's so many points where like they're just in there being like, no, and then they slowly get picked up, and you're like, dude, you got 2 swords in your hands. Fucking do something.
Oh yeah, because it's one of those things of like, even if you're going to lose that fight, and you're going to get eaten, you can still cause damage to it, which might slow it down for the next person before it has a chance to fucking heal.
But you can still fight back. Like my whole issue is like, there's this whole big thing with Attack on Titan being like, fight back, fight back.
Well, see what
and it's like there's just so many points where they don't fight back.
Let's put it this way. I call them like they're like a wild animal before, but what I think they're closer to is they're toddlers.
Yes,
they're toddlers running around. You stab a toddler in the hand, they're gonna let go of whatever the hell's in their hand.
As I said, there's like just so many points in the story where you're like watching things happen. You're like, as I said, a lot of the survey stuff I have issues with, because I'm like, actually, if you did this, that'd be way better. That would actually be a better plan. If you did this, that'd be a better plan. But just the biggest thing that I always had an issue with is just how many times like people are sitting there and like they'll be picked up by the jacket like this, and they got their 2 swords in their hands and their ODM gear on, and they're just in there going like, no, I don't want to get eaten. It's like, okay, well then fight back. It's like, no, and then they're slowly.
Or there's literally this real quick thing you can do. You're held by the jacket. Okay, swing yourself up, put your arms up, so there's a high chance you sliding out of the fucking jacket.
Or just, you being held by the jacket, just swing those sharp bits around.
Oh, well, yeah, there's that. There's a number of things that can be done.
There's just so many times where they're just like, we have to have this character die to show you how scary the Titans are, but you're just kind of like, no, you're just showing me how stupid that character was, because, like, literally they're just like, we'll pick you up now. And you're like, okay, at any point in this, you could have just been like, slicey.
Yeah.
And it's like, or one of my favorites is, oh, my blades are dull, or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, first of all, right, the way that they show their blades being dull is they're just broken down a bit.
Yeah.
And it's like, cool. But that's still, that long of metal You jab that into something, that's still gonna fucking...
Yeah, jab it into the hand, and then release it, so that you can reload another weapon, another sword into it.
Don't get me started on that one. That one annoys me even more.
Yeah.
My blades are broken, and then you look at them and they've got like 6 more blades sticking there, and you're like, okay, then
Just swap them over. That's the whole point of those. That's why you've got the other 6.
Mm. The gas issue, you know, is always more of a big thing. But like, you know, there are just points where I'm just like, okay, and you know, like, as I said, there's just so much that I just don't get about like the planning of the world, because they're like, oh no, we're in the city and we're out of gas. Well, we know Titans don't attack horses, so why wouldn't you just, like, if the Titans attack a city, why don't you just suddenly, like, get a bunch of horses out and just let them run around, so that if people are caught on the ground, they can just grab a horse and go.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, there's just so much stuff where you're like, okay, well, hang on, what about this or this or this? And it's like, oh, well, hold up. And it's like, as I said, one of my biggest issues is always just when they try and be clever about something. It's like, well, hang on, but what about this? No, we can't possibly do that. It's like, why? Because,
yeah,
and then you're just like, oh, whatever. But on terms of like something that
also, one other thing that I've just realised about that, when they know that they've got to cut that specific place in the back of the neck to be able to kill the Titan, how is it that in that brief time where it hasn't gone, because if I'm remembering correctly, they sort of fucking disintegrate.
Yes.
But they don't always disintegrate immediately.
Correct.
How is it that someone has never looked over and seen, oh, there's a body right where I've just cut?
I think that has to do with, now, could be wrong here, but I think that has more to do with the fact that in the pure Titan forms, so not the Titan changes, but the pure Titan forms, it's not their body.
Okay, yeah,
like, their body is actually extended, and their body is the Titan's body.
Yeah, okay.
What you're cutting is like the remnants of their spinal cord.
Yeah, fair. Okay, that could make sense then.
But I think another excellent question is things like, okay, I don't know if you've ever seen like chain shot. And basically what that is an old naval equipment that you would put 2 little balls into your cannon that were connected by a chain.
Oh, yeah.
And when they launch out, they spin, and the chain pretty much flings around, and it can do a lot of damage. Why wasn't that ever developed in the world of Attack on Titan?
Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one.
Like, even if you only hit them in the legs,
that's still taking them down.
It becomes a hell of a lot easier to cut their neck when they're just on the ground with their face down.
Because you got to remember, as I said before, they're effectively toddlers.
Yeah, and that's kind of that's like one of my big problems. It's like, they're terrifying, yes. They're this, yes. But at the end of the day, it's like, they're not. Oh, like, there's something in it where it's like, oh, they can recover from losing a limb in as little as 2 minutes. And it's like, okay,
it's a long time.
That still doesn't mean that you don't blow off their limbs to make them less lethal.
Yeah, if they don't have their legs, the best they can do is crawl.
Yeah. There's also another
wait for it, they're also generally at that point face down.
Which means...
So it's harder for them to get you as well.
Yeah.
Just fucking Jesus.
So, as I said, there was always a lot of issues I had with it, where it's just like, logical thinking goes, well, why don't we do this? And they go, we can never do that. And it's like, why not?
Mm-hmm.
We should have, you know. But like, I think one of my biggest issues throughout the entire series is the whole talk about you've got to cut the nape of the neck, which is, you know, about there, right?
Yeah.
That's the nape. And it's like, okay. But then they'll see them blow their heads off, and you're like, okay, well, that's definitely destroyed the nape. And then they just start healing. You're like, well, hang on, no, because if slicing that nape is enough, blowing their head off
is more than
is damage to that area. Like, I was always like, well, what's the difference? Like, you've blown, and it's like, no, because if that single part isn't it's like, no, but it is destroyed.
Yes.
When you decapitate it, it's destroyed. And yeah.
Oh yeah, if it's pretty much cut off to shoulder height, it's like, yeah, no, it's gone.
Yeah. You've obliterated it.
Exactly. It is
But
well and truly
speaking of cartoons I've been watching recently, I started watching Fairly Odd Parents. Let me tell you about Fairly Odd Parents.
Yeah.
I've been watching it on Amazon.
Mhm.
For some reason, they started season 5.
I've noticed.
I'm like, why don't you have the first 4 seasons?
I don't know.
And they seem to do that with a lot of stuff on Amazon Prime. It's like, we have the end of it. It's like, okay, where's the beginning? Ha ha ha, nowhere.
No. Good luck. You ain't getting it.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, fuck me. But yeah, I was like, I remembered our conversation about Danny Phantom. I went, I wonder if Fairly Odd Parents is on Amazon Prime. It is.
Just the end of it.
And I was sitting there and I was like, I'm going to watch some of it. And it holds up.
It does hold up. I'm aware of that.
Fucking, you know.
I looked it up a while back, but I wanted to start from episode 1, so I'm like, I'm fucking, I'm done.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, and then I went, there's no point in being like, I want to find season, because I'm like, no one's going to have it.
No, and the other thing is...
Which is kind of the most annoying thing about these streaming services, right?
The other thing is, like...
If you don't own the property, but when you do, because it's Paramount that has it, and Paramount owns... I'm pretty sure Paramount owns... I could be wrong there, but I thought when I looked it up, Paramount is like an owner of...
Yeah.
Or is owned by the same company that owns Nickelodeon. Yeah. And I'm just kind of like, when you own it, it's like Disney, right? Disney being like, oh, we're only putting up a couple seasons of this show. When you own it and you have a streaming service, there is no excuse for you not putting up that show.
Or just at a certain point being like, hey, we're getting rid of a bunch of stuff, we're putting it all in the vault. I'm like, why?
Yeah. Like, okay, don't get me wrong, there's obviously, like, you know, server issues and stuff with keeping all of that stuff there. And if it's not being viewed. But, like, stuff that they're being like, oh, we're putting this in the vault. It's like, was it getting viewership? Yeah, lots of people were watching it. Fucking why?
Oh, well, surely everyone watched it by then. Are you stupid?
Or you know, my other favorite thing of, like, what Disney do a lot, it's just like, hey, we have this, like, absolutely super popular show. Are you gonna put it on the streaming thing? No, never. And it's like, what? And it's like, yeah, one of our classic movies, all-time greats.
Yeah.
Not put it on the streaming ever. No, go fuck yourself.
No. Yeah, never.
And you're just like, what the fuck is wrong with you people?
Pretty much. Or just something they, like, at a certain time of the year, every year, they used to show it.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, no, we're not putting it on a streaming service. It's like, why not? You used to show it every goddamn year.
Yep. Yeah, I honestly... I think the real issue is that everyone thought streaming services were going to be magic, right? Mm. They all saw Netflix when Netflix first came out.
True.
And it was worth whatever it was worth, like unprecedented amount of money.
Yeah.
And they all went cha-ching. But they didn't actually realize why it was a cha-ching moment.
Yeah.
And the only reason was it was the only one that existed.
Yeah.
So, hey, it had Marvel, it had this show, it had this. And then when the next one came and a bunch of shows went there, people went, okay, well now I've got to have 2 to have it all.
Yeah. Now there's so many out there.
And now there's like each major company has their own. And it's like, yeah. And people are just kind of like, no, we're good. There is something that someone once said about piracy, which I think rings true. And I think it's the truth about piracy. Because everyone thinks that piracy is like, oh, people just don't want to pay for stuff. And it's like...
There are some.
That's always a truth. But I think a lot of people have said that are like... You can pretty much look at them and be like, you have never pirated anything. And they're like, oh, no, because I'm not like that. And it's like, no. I know you've never pirated anything because you think it's a simple solution. It's actually a lot harder to watch something pirated than it is to watch it legally.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, and if you have a streaming service that you can just pay, $20, $30 a month to and just have everything legally, you would never pirate anything because the money's not that bad that you're losing and it saves you so much time and effort pirating.
Well, then the next thing is that, and this is one I've always said, give us access to something that we used to have access to.
Mm.
Why legitimately something that was on TV for years upon years in our childhood, all of a sudden, no, I'm not putting it out there. Also, you can't buy a copy of it. You can't do anything with it. It still exists, but we refuse to let you do it legally. So people go down the track of pirating because they want to watch something they can't.
Piracy comes from wanting something that is not being provided.
Yes.
Or literally pretty much hitting the point where it's like the cost becomes prohibitive.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where we are with the streaming services now. Why? I'm pretty sure piracy is down now from where it used to be.
Probably.
One, because it has gotten a lot harder. Like, pretty much back in the old days, if you had an internet connection, you could pirate.
Yes.
Now that, you know, governments and stuff are on the lookout for that kind of things, and, you know, more as the world has become more known or more knowledgeable about the internet, it's becoming easier to stop it.
Yeah, true.
Not easier to stop it, but easier to stop the ease of access piracy. You'll never stop the piracy where they go, you know, hard and like literally hack into secure servers and shit like that.
Oh, no.
But the stuff where it's like literally, I go to this website and it's like, that website shut down now. That website shut down.
Oh, yeah. They're only up for a couple of weeks and it's gone.
Yeah. So, like, it has become a little bit harder to do it. Which is, you know, great. That's good. But the problem is we're now at a point where it's like, you know, as I said, when Netflix first appeared, it could have killed piracy.
Oh, yeah.
At least of TV shows and movies, because you could get a bunch of different TV shows and movies from a bunch of different places for one monthly fee.
Oh, yeah.
But as more and more of them popped up, it's now more and more of a fee, and now the fees are going up even higher because, well, we've got to support the streaming channel, don't you know? Yes, but you only have 1% of the stuff I want to watch, so now you want to charge me $30 a month for 1%. No, I'm just going to cut it out.
Yeah.
And the things that I do want to watch from you, well, it's kind of worth it to pirate now.
Yeah.
And that's the issue, right? If you were to have all the streaming services just for TV shows, right? And like all of that, like the Hulu's and all of that kind of stuff, the Disney Pluses, you're probably looking at hundreds of dollars a month.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people are going down the track of like, oh, I've got this one, my mate has this one, my mate has this one, and we've all just shared our password. So that's like, each of us are only paying for the one.
Yeah.
Like, you've all got access to.
But that's my point. Like, the reason is, like, it used to be cheap, not cheap, affordable, and easy.
Affordable, easy, and
as it becomes less affordable because you need more, it also becomes less easy because you need more. Yeah. And so piracy starts to look like a pretty good option again because people go, well, I don't really want to pay for this. Like, no one's sitting there going like, I want to pay for Disney Plus to watch Andor. If all you want to do is watch Andor, you go pirate it from somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to pay Disney, you're going to go pirate it. And, you know, is that bad?
Create a new fucking email so that you can watch it for free.
And is that bad? Absolutely, it's bad. You know, piracy is horrible for the industries that rely on people paying for them, which is every industry.
Pretty much.
But you can see why it's happening. You can see where people have been like, I only want one show. I can't get it anywhere else. I've got to have this one, but I want nothing else of their shit, and I'm refusing to pay the amount of money they want per month to watch it. 'Cause you got to think about it like this as well, right? You used to be able to buy an entire series, an entire like season of a TV show for like $30. Now that'll get you a month, and with things like bi-weekly and weekly release, it's like for $30 you get 2 episodes. It's like, get fucked.
Yeah, pretty much.
Get fucked. And you don't even get to keep them. They're not yours to own.
No.
They're yours to watch.
You can download them onto the app, but the moment you get rid of the app, they're gone.
Exactly. And that's kind of that's where we're sitting. And I think that there was someone who came out, I think he was an Ubisoft executive, and said, oh, people have to get used to not owning the stuff they paid for. And it's like, get fucked. You want me to pay for something, but you then want to be like, but we can take it away from you whenever you want. And it's like, no.
No, that's bullshit.
That's
ridiculous.
That's like going to a car dealership and the car dealership being like, okay, that'll be $100,000 for this car. By the way, we'll come and take it off you when we feel like it. And it's like, what? It's like, oh, no. If you stop paying for it, obviously you're going to lose the car. That makes sense. But also we can just be like, oh, no, so we don't want you to have this anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't make sense. The world of streaming actually does not make sense.
No.
From a standpoint. And the problem is that, it's not an alternative to owning media. Because when you own the media, it's yours, And in reality, you can do with whatever you like once you own it. Like, I've got the entire box set of Futurama. I could put it all onto a computer so that I just have it digitally and I can move it around on a hard drive.
Yeah.
The piracy laws don't stop me doing that. What they do is stop me, say I'm not allowed to then sell that for profit for myself.
Yeah.
And that's fair. But I own the medium, so I can do what I want with it.
Yeah.
I could go out and I could buy all the Twilight movies on DVD just so I could burn them. No one can stop me doing that.
You know what's funny about that whole situation you just said? Burning was the first thing that came to my mind too.
And I don't mean burning them as in putting them on CDs. I mean like throwing them into a good old fire.
Again, yeah.
That's my right. But what happens with streaming is that I pay in some situations. Yes, I'm only paying what I would pay for a movie or two a month, but I really don't get any say in what I'm being access to. And with some things, you can go and get a streaming service to watch a series, and then they say, "Oh yeah, we're taking this series off." Do you have no recourse other than to cancel your subscription?
Pretty much.
And that's fair, but at the same time, we don't have to get used to not owning our media. We should never be in a situation where we don't have the ability to buy stuff that we want.
Yeah. We
should never be in a situation where we are just giving companies money to have access to something that they have the final say over. It would be like giving Apple $1,000 to get a phone from them, which they can then tell you how to use. I know that's how they think it works, but that's not how it works at all. You're not renting a phone off them. You're buying it. And I think that's the issue with streaming services. It's a rental system. And the truth is, I think as more and more people have come to that realization, they're not as happy with it. And that's why the streaming service has taken a hit.
Yeah. Well, the upside I can see for like Crunchyroll, as an example, they've actually been merging with a lot of companies.
They have.
So they've been going in the correct direction and going, hey, let's just put anime in one place. Yes, there's a few places that are like, no, we refuse to join you, but they've actually got some of the major.
Would you like to hear the downside to that, though? Because there is one.
Oh, yeah, of course there will be.
And it comes from this kind of thing, which is like, yes, good, we do want. As I said, when it was one and you only had to pay one, it's great.
Yeah.
However, the downside to that, and it is always important to remember the downside to everything, is that once someone has all the stuff,
they can put whatever price they want.
They dictate the price, and there's no
arguing the point.
You
either accept it. It's either you pay to watch it or you don't. It's like here in most of Queensland. You either pay for the power or you don't. Because you go to the southeast Queensland, you've got choices of who the company you want to go with, but like here, you've got one choice.
You go with the people that you're with.
Yeah.
You go with the provider.
Yes.
But again, there is another side to that, which is, if I have the monopoly and I then go, it'll be $100 a month. Well, then when I make no money because no one's paying it and everyone's just pirating, my company goes out of business.
And it's your own fault.
Yes. So, as I said, there's always ways around this and there's always going to be. But sometimes I'm just like, what the actual fuck?
Pretty much.
But yeah. Mainly, this is me just complaining about Disney's streaming services because it sucks. It is, and they lost a lot of money because they do not really know how to make good shows anymore.
True.
And the old shows that they have, for some reason, they don't want to put out.
then it's stuff that we want to watch.
There's a lot of stuff that Disney have that they could be watching.
Yeah.
There's a lot of old shows that could probably have a comeback and be just as popular now as they were back then.
Yeah.
It's just, I think a lot of companies are scared because a lot of the things from the past aren't as politically correct as things are today.
True.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Boy, I've seen a few kids shows from today.
Oh, fuck that bad.
And multicolored mush is about all I could explain them as.
Yeah.
Fuck, even Dora the Explorer was better than half the crap that's on today.
Yeah.
And Dora the Explorer was
Yeah, I can agree with that.
And it's like, you go back even further and yeah. But, like, not even that. So I've been watching, like, some of the live-action Disney stuff.
Yeah.
And they make jokes that I'm like, ooh.
Surprised that's in there.
Well, no, not so much surprised I'm in there, because it's a joke that I'm like, oh, that's a really easy joke to make. It's not a hard joke. But it's like a kid making a joke about, I can't remember what it was, but it was in one of these shows, and the kid made a joke, and I went, that is an innuendo joke.
Yeah.
That would never be allowed in modern Disney. A kid saying
no.
anything that might have some sexual connotation to it. No. I was like, but they do. That's exactly how kids are.
Yeah. They say it all the time.
Especially teenagers. And it's like, Jesus Christ. Sometimes it shocks me how much we've gone to the effort of, oh, no, you can't have that because we can't possibly expose the snowflakes to that. And it's like, why? They've already been exposed to it.
Oh, yeah. They 100% have. Even if it's not from media, it's from family and friends for the most part.
The playground or almost any other situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always think back, because there's always something I always find it funny. I think back to like when I was a little bit younger, probably in my mid-teens, and you'd walk around and you'd say something, and a parent would look at you and be like, "Don't use that language. This is a public place." And you're like, "Get the fuck out of here."
This is a public place. You don't have dictation over what I say.
Yeah. Or like I think one of my favorites though was like, me and my mates were talking shit, just having a laugh, and then you get to the end of it, you laugh, and you're like, "Oh, fuck you, man!" And this parent's like, "Don't you say that in front of my kids!" Rah, 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 this and that, and then they walked off, and as they're storming off, like they start swearing. I'm like, "Well, so you're allowed to do it next to your kid. But you have a problem when a bunch of teenagers are using it in the vicinity of your kid?"
Yeah,
and I've always had an issue with that. I'm like,
you know what it is?
Hypocritical.
Yes, it's hypocritical, but I find that there's a lot of people that don't actually know that they're swearing.
Oh, it's just wankers, mate.
And it's because like I see it all the time. It's like people will be like swearing constantly. You turn around, it's like, "Geez, you swear a lot." It's like, "Wait, I was swearing." It's like, oh, it's literally just become second nature to you. So you don't even notice that you're swearing.
I do have that happen to me sometimes.
Yeah, I do. I have the same
situations. I'll just absolutely just start swearing at my head off and not even contemplate
what you're saying. Yeah.
But I also like the thing is this, right? I think it's a really good way of putting it. It's like swears are for adults to use. Kids just shouldn't use them, and that's how you should teach it. Yeah. This is adult language.
Yeah,
and it's like because surely you'd be in the same era as me, where you remember the first time you swore in front of your parents.
Yeah,
and they didn't absolutely belt the shit out of you for saying.
No, it was pretty much you don't say that around other people.
like I remember,
I do the same thing with like my niece and nephews. They're just like they swear. It's like, hey, don't, especially don't do that at school.
Yeah, but no, you're kids and you hear shit and you watch movies and everything, and so you're sitting there and you're like as like a fucking little 6-7-year-old, you're like, bitch.
Yeah,
and then your parents catch you saying it and they're like, slap across the back of the head, and you're like, well, I'm not going to say that around them. But then, like, as you got older, and you're like, you realize that, oh, okay, they don't get up me when I say, like, oh, that's absolute bullshit anymore. Like, when you're like 6 and you go, that's bullshit, and they like, watch your language. And you're like, oh, fuck, I'm in trouble. And then, like, as you got older, you're just like, oh, it's fucking bullshit. And I'm like, it was. And you're like, oh, wait, I'm allowed to say that in front of them now.
Yeah.
And as you get, like, older and older, you realize it's like, you drop something that you just use in your vocabulary. And the first time your parents are like, don't use that, they're just like, yep, absolutely. And they agree with you. You're just like, wait, what the fuck?
When did this change? What's happening?
But yeah, like, I remember the times when, little kids, and you'd all be like, ha, 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 ha. And it'd be like, one of you would just be like, fuck. And then everyone's like, oh, and like looking around for an adult to suddenly swoop in and be like, you're not allowed to use that language. And all that kind of shit.
It's either that or you'd have that one person that you've said something super, like, something we now consider super tame. And then they'll just be like, I'm going to go tell the teacher. It's like, no.
Dude, don't get me started on that. Fucking so many. Especially, like, you'd be like to someone, you're fucking, well, you wouldn't say because you're obviously a little kid. You'd be like, you're stupid.
Yeah.
And then, like, they'd be like, I'm going to tell the teacher. And you're like, no, don't tell the teacher. Please don't. And like, now you're just like, yeah, and as you get older, you're just like, you're a fucking dumbass. Like, I'm going to tell on you. Like, go tell on me, please. They'll rub to attention, be like, you're supposed to call me a fucking dumbass. I'm like, you are a fucking dumbass. But, like, that's kind of like...
Or the worst thing you'll get from that teacher if they actually do come up to you. It's like, look, I know, but don't say it to them again.
You're not allowed to say it to them. You're supposed to whisper it under your breath.
Exactly. Especially in high school, they care so much less.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. But, again, that's, like, the transition. And it's like, whereas now, we just have kids, like, who are, like, I don't know, maybe it's the world's changed. Maybe it's because, like, kids don't have discipline anymore. But now you got kids, like, walking around being like, oh, I don't give a fuck. And you're like, dude, you're, like, 2. You don't know what it means to not give a fuck.
Exactly. But then there's, like, I saw something the other day. Like, a parent's tender was like, oh, don't do that. That's a good way to get sick. And I'm like, the first thought that came into my mind is like, it's also a good way to build the immune system. Yeah. Which is what we don't fucking have anymore.
Well, you know what they say, Kris, don't go around licking people's eyeballs. It's implied.
It is implied.
No, but anyway, guys, we've been going long enough.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to call it here. So thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed it, consider liking, sharing, commenting, or subscribing. If you are also a little bit underwhelmed by Attack on Titan after a strong start, but you thought any thoughts about it, leave them in the comments.
Yeah.
If you know where to watch the first 4 seasons of Fairly Odd Parents, put that in the comments.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah,
guys,
until next time, I've been Darcy, here's Kris.
Yeah.
And if you want to see more of us, check out the rest of the channel. We do a whole variety of things. We play a lot of video games. Averagely, that's our skill level. So that's what we do. But we hope you have enjoyed it. We will catch you next time right here on the channel. But until then, see you later.
See ya.
Finger guns.